Hello, my dear friends. After the introduction of management, second part of this chapter is to be a principles of management. So, in this particular video, you learn about the what are the principles of management and how it's applicable in the organization. So, in this particular video, you learn about the scientific and administrative principles of management. So, let's start. First one is the organizational theories. So, first one, there are the bureaucratic theory, scientific management, post-corp, and the human relation. So, first one is what is the bureaucracy? In the old times, before the introduction of the administrative theory and the principal theory, manager and we can say there are the higher authorities always doing the rude behavior and we can say autocratic leadership style they have to doing in with the their employees and with their laborers. They are always doing the exploitation of the laborers, and that's why this type of scientific theories and administrative theories introduced in the organization. We can say that you may know that in Gujarat, from the Bihar and from Rajasthan, many laborers are come for here to doing the work. Why they have to doing these types of activity? Not for we can say for the only financial purpose, but in the Bihar, I read that. Some organization have to doing very rude behavior with their laborers. If they cannot doing the appropriate work, they threw them in the boilers. Okay, so that's very terrible we can say situation of this very terrible situation of the laborers, and that's why they have to come here to doing this type of we can say activities in the Gujarat. And after that, this type of bureaucratic nature, there are the scientific management and the administrative management are developed in the organization. So it's also considered as a one word is a post code. So sometimes in your examination in the short question answer, they have to ask that what is the full form of this post code. So P for planning, O for organizing, S for staffing, D for directing, CO means coordination, then R for reporting and B for budgeting. So sometimes they have to ask the full form of this post crop, so you should know about it. Okay, so this type of post code means planning, organizing, staffing, directing, coordination, reporting and budgeting. So this type of all activities are considered in the management. Before the years they have to not doing this type of work, but nowadays they have to doing this type of post corp activities. Then human relation, they have to maintain the good human relation in the organization, then and then employees feel that this is the my organization and I am doing the best work with them. Okay, so first one is the scientific theory. So this scientific theory is developed by the F.W. Taylor, the principle of this scientific management. So in the scientific management, development is begun with the Frederick Wilson Taylor in the 1818s to 1890 within the manufacturing industry. So this type of Frederick Taylor who are working as the research methodology, and they have to doing the research in the manufacturing industry. Scientific management is also called the Taylorism, was a theory of a management that analyzes the synthesis of the workflow. So its main objective is to improving the economical efficiency, especially the labor productivity. So sometimes they have to, we can say that higher authorities have the mindset that labor are not working very good with their efficiency. So they have to try to develop then higher this type of labor productivity by analyzing and establishing the workflow process. Scientific management is themes to include the analysis, synthesis, logic, rationally, empiricalism, work ethic, efficiency and eliminate of the waste and the standardization of the best practice to other. They always try to doing the right way. So they have to firstly doing the research, then after they have to develop the different alternatives and try to use the best method for the organization to get the higher profit. So basic element of this scientific management, first one is to determine the one of the best way to do each job. First one, they have to identify that which work is appropriate for the womb labor. They have to identify that if a labor has the skill of doing the clerical work, then they have to give the work like a clerical process. As the clerk, they have to doing the job. Then B person have to higher skill in the operating machine, then they have to given the job at the production department. So first of all, they have to determine one of the best way to do the each job. Second one is select the first class man to each job. Then after, they have to select that if a person is they have to expert in the clerical work, then they have to select this person. Then pay as per piece, according to piece, means if they have to making a one product, then they have to given the 10 rupees 20 rupees according to their norms and condition. Then duties of management, then after, they have to follow the all duties of the management, they have to doing the continuously control on them, and provide the best input and try to doing the higher efficiency from them. So scientific management is there is the one of the best way. They have to think, means manager have to plan on desk, manager have to thinking, and after do, means worker have to do it. So you have to totally command control of the manager from on their subordinate. Okay, so this scientific management theory is very important in the organization. Then what are the advantages of this scientific management? First one is a scientific selection and the training of the employees is lead to the better workforce and which ensure the increase in the efficiency. If any employees cannot have the particular skill, then you have to given the training to them and you have to ensure that they have to increase the efficiency. Second one is a harmonious relationship between the worker and the management. So it's create the good relation, interpersonal relation between the employee and employee, between the employee and employer. So it's create the good and the best environment, peace in the organization. So it's decrease the conflicts in the organization. Third one is the opportunity for the scientific training and the development is increase the skills and knowledge of the complementary. Means if any person have the required for the training, then you have to provide the training with the very accuracy, with the accurate knowledge. Then the application of the scientific methods and the techniques in the better working condition and reduce the fatigue. Means you have to doing the best work and best working condition you have to provide them, so they can increase their efficiency and reduce the fatigue, means reduce the wastage and reduce their self-intensive motives. Then higher wages to the workers who have to be a higher productivity. This scientific theory is totally based on that if a person has the higher potentiality, higher we can say capable, then you have to provide them the higher scale of the remuneration. What are the disadvantages of this scientific management? Because one coin have a two side, right? So this theory have the second side is the disadvantage of this scientific management. So it's based upon the one best way. It's applicable for the simple organization that therefore today's dynamic and complex organization. So it's always applicable in the simple organization because whenever there are the company are working in the MNCs, multinational firms, multinational countries, so it's at that time scientific management is quite complex for them. Then it focus on the individual performance, then grew up the efforts and divide the work into the efficient and inefficient category. They have to divide their work. If any person cannot working very effectively, then you have to divide them. So it's sometimes create the negative impact on their, we can say, human relation. Sometimes it's create the negative impact on the human mind. Then its focus on the specialization and the repetition of the job to increase the productivity, which is reduce the innovation and the creativity and the promotes the monotony. Means they have to be you have always focus on the productivity, so you should use the traditional method. So any employee have the new particular ideas and new innovation, so you cannot applicable, you cannot doing any creativeness in it. So it's one type of disadvantage of this management. It neglects the human factor because motivates the worker and work for the monetary benefit rather than the human resource development and the resources. Here they have to totally focus on the productivity and their analysis. They have to totally reduce the human relation and human resource development. Then there is a no scope of the creativity of the employee because there are the development by the manager which promote the frustration. So sometimes there are the higher power in the manager's hands, so it sometimes create the frustration for the laborers and employees. After the scientific management principles, second one is the administrative management, and this administrative management principles is developed by the Fayol principles, and this administrative management theory is developed by the Henry Fayol. First one, scientific theory is developed by the F.W. Taylor, and this theory is developed by the Henry Fayol. So you cannot misunderstand it. Sometime in examination they have to ask that write about the F.W. Taylor theory. So you should write the scientific management theory, okay. And sometime they have to write as the author's name. So you have to prepare about it. You cannot miscommunicate and misunderstand it. Then Henry Fayol developed the administrative management theory. So administrative management is the process of managing information through the people. So this is usually involved in the performing the strong and the distribution of the information to those within the organization. So it's represent the top level management is pertaining to peer thinking and the planning for the function. So we can say they have to totally focus that they have to doing the work from the person, so they have to totally focus on the human behavior. So it performs the function of the formulation of the vision, mission and strategy. Vision means your higher goal, okay, your long term goal is called your vision. Then mission means what? Mission means how you we can say achieve your goal, from the which way is called your mission. And strategy means the policy that you have to form for the organizational development. Henry Fayol from 1841 to 1925. Henry Fayol was the French mining engineer. Later he turned out be a leading industrial successful manager. Then he wrote a monograph in the French in 1960. His title as the General and Industrial Administration. Then he considered as the father of administrative management theory. So sometime in the examination for the short question answer, they have to ask that who is the father of this administrative theory, who is the father of the scientific theory. So for the scientific theory, F.W. Taylor, and for the administrative theory is the Henry Fayol. So develop a general theory of this business administration that is often called the Fayolism. Fayolism means what? A theory of a management that analyzes the synthesis the role of management in the organization. What is the role of management in organization? How the management developed their organizational strategies. Then after 14 principles, it's a very important and you should learn it very thoroughly in GTU examination, and I analyze that from the all paper they have to ask these 14 principles of management. So you should learn it we can say very thoroughly. If they have to ask this 14 principle of management in 7 marks, then you have to write the introduction of Henry Fayol. Then after you have to given the meaning of management, and then after you have to list out this 14 principle, and then after explain it very carefully. Sometimes some people only, or we can say some students only point out and only list out these 14 principles and complete their question, but you cannot doing this way. You have to write all of 14 principles and you have to explain each one by one. So first one is the division of work. Henry Fayol says that first principle of this theory is to be a division of work. You have to divide of your work, like in the organization, like production activity, marketing activity, human resource activity. So if one person is doing this all work, then it's creating a confusion for them, it's creating complexity for them. So you have to division of work. You have to divide your work according to the skills and capability of your employees. You have to divide the all work. Then after authority and responsibility, according to the work you have to given the authority and responsibility to the person, because authority and responsibility both are the same manner. You cannot give the higher authority and less responsibility, so it's create the misbehavior in the organization. If responsibility higher than the authority, so it's always create the frustration for the worker. So you should always maintain the authority and responsibility in the same manner. Third one is the discipline. You have to create the discipline in the organization, so it's reduce the malpractices in the organization and the higher work. Then unity of command. Unity of command means what? In the organization, if we have to, we can say that I give you one example. If one person are working in the organization, A person, right? And P is the manager of production department and Q is the manager of sales department. And both have to given the order to the A person, that A we have to confuse that from which I have to report, right? So you have to given the unity of command. Only one person have to given the command to one employee. So it's create the lesser communication, and we can say that less miscommunication and the higher effective technical communication. Then unity of direction. If a one person lead the organization, it's create the good impact. If there are the different person are lead to organization, it's create the miscommunication, misunderstanding, and sometimes it's created the disputes and conflicts in the organization. So you have to doing the unity of command and unity of direction in the organization. Then subordinate of individual interest to the general interest, because whenever people are working in the organization, their main motive is to for the doing their own, means their personal development. So you should create a such environment that they have to feel like their own business, their own organization, so their individual interest is converted to the general interest, and their main goal is now is to achieve the organizational goal, not their personal goal. Okay. Then after remuneration, Henry Fayol states that always provide the remuneration according to the skills and knowledge of the person, not the provide the higher remuneration or not the provide the less remuneration to the employees, is create the negative impact. Then after last one, 14 principles are considered here, that the centralization. Always create the centralization in your organization. If your information are very secret, you cannot reveal your information to the other firm, then your organization must be centralized. All the authority and power is centralized only with the one person. So it's create the secrecy of our information and create the power of whatever you have to achieve. Then scalar chain. Scalar chain means there are the create the higher. In the last video lecture session, top level management, you have to learn that levels of management. So it's called the scalar chain, like top level, middle level, bottom level. So you have to maintain this scalar chain. Then equity. Provide the equitable right to the all laborers and employees. So it's called the equitable situation, and it's create faith in the mind of your employees. Then order. Always provide the order in the best, we can say, manner, so they can achieve the targets. Then stability of tenure of personnel. Personnel means what? Stability of tenure. Tenure means what? There are the lives, we can say, lifespan of the organization, and always organization have to try this maintain the tenure of the person. Means employees have to doing the work highly tenure in the organization, they cannot left the organization. So you should maintain this type of environment, so they can maintain the higher tenure with your organization. Then initiative. Always doing the initiative spirit. If any person have the new knowledge and new we can say idea, then you have to initiate, you have to doing the new things, then they have to be you have to provide the support to them, so they have to doing the initiative and the new right and new activity, then they have to achieve the target. Then the last one is the spirit de crop, means develop the team spirit in the organization. If in the organization all workers are doing their best, and then you achieve the best your objective. If in the cricket team, all we can say all the team member have to always doing their performance for the self perspective, they have to doing their performance on the self basis, then team cannot win. Okay. So this type of way are also applicable in the organization. If the all employees are working with a good team spirit, then they have to be achieve the targets. Okay. So you have to develop this type of environment, so they have to feel the free and develop the organization. Okay, so this all 14 principles are very important regarding your examination, so you should remember it, learn it and explain it. Okay, thank you very much. So if you have any query regarding this all over chapter Maslow's theory, introduction and principle, then you can ask me anytime. Okay, thank you very much.